Hi guys, welcome back to Garage Gossip. It's been some time since you've seen me or since you've heard me. I was gone last week, so there wasn't an episode out last week. But I'm back again, and we do have a lot to talk about because obviously there was no episode last week, so we need to talk about everything that I missed last week in this episode. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So let's just jump straight into it. Alrighty, so I feel like I can start with anything, but y'all are just probably wondering when is she gonna talk about Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson. So let's just get it over with and start talking about that. So the plan was to talk about this in my last episode, obviously. That didn't come out because I was gone. Because I was watching the Chinese Grand Prix and I saw Liam so low in the standings, and I was like, there is I'm 99% sure that Liam will be out of this Red Bull seat before the summer break, which is kind of brutal. Let's be honest, it is brutal of Red Bull to replace him after 2 races, but it is still Red Bull. You gotta keep that in mind. It's not like it's Kicksauber. It's not like it's Williams. If one of their drivers finishes lower than the other, it's not that big of a deal. But seeing Max Verstappen always finish on the upper part, always in the top 4, and Liam is always down low, something's not right. And yeah, you can argue, well, that's because the car is made for Max. That's because, Liam doesn't have a say in how the car is set up and everything like that. That might be true. That might be true. I don't know. I am not working for Red Bull, so I have no idea if that is true. But it is still a big difference. Like, okay, Checo wasn't great last season either, but he was better than Liam. So, yeah. I'm just like, I was 99% sure after the Chinese Grand Prix that Liam would be replaced soon. Did I expect them to change it immediately? Not at all. Not at all. But it is kind of fun as well. It also is very stressful for Yuki because obviously the next Grand Prix is the Japanese Grand Prix, which is his home race. So I think that adds to the stress because obviously he is right now in a Red Bull and it is his home Grand Prix, so he needs to perform and he's gonna want to perform obviously for his home crowd. But I think it's just so stressful to have your first Grand Prix with one of the top teams, like Max Verstappen is his teammate. And we're gonna talk about Max later. But it's just gotta be so stressful for Yuki to be in that position, I think. And I mean, I'm very happy that Yuki is finally getting a chance to prove himself and to show that he is worthy to be in that seat, because I have been an advocate for putting Yuki in that seat from the beginning on. But it's gotta be stressful. It's gotta be stressful, and I think Yuki would have preferred to have the Australian Grand Prix and the Chinese Grand Prix before going into the Japanese Grand Prix. Like, I think he would have wanted those 2 races to kind of prepare himself that he would be going, like, racing there in the Red Bull. Yeah, talking about Max Verstappen, Max is not an easy teammate, I think. And it's not because Max is not friendly, because I think Max is probably one of the friendliest guys ever. I think Max can be friendly, but it's just the fact that Max has been scoring so consistently over the last few years. He's been drivers' champion for, what is it, his 4th season in a row now? Or 3? 4 or 3? Wait, I actually don't know anymore. It's 4 or 3. It's so bad that I don't know this. So it's gotta be intimidating to go up against Max as your teammate. Plus, Max also has had a lot of teammates already, and we know that Red Bull is kind of notorious for switching out drivers very quickly because they want to score points and they want to get the championships. But yeah, I mean, just like, they could have given Liam a little bit more time. I kind of feel bad for Liam because I think we were all expecting kind of big things from Liam, because obviously we've seen him drive last season in the V Cup, and he was kind of good there. He scored some points, and he did fight with the big guys. So I think we were all expecting Liam to do exactly the same this season in the Red Bull, and then he didn't. And we were all asking questions like, what is going on? Like, what's happened to Liam Lawson? And I feel like 2 races is not enough time to let him adjust to the car, because obviously, even though it's B team and A team, V Cup, the car of the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls, yeah, is different than the Red Bull. So you need to give Liam some time to adjust to the Red Bull car, I think. I feel like that's the only, in my mind, that's the only reasonable thing to do. But I mean, we all know Christian Horner and we all know Helmut Marko, and they don't think that's a reasonable thing to do, so they switched. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what Yuki is gonna do this weekend. I'm also a little bit scared. I gotta be honest, I'm kind of like very scared. Because I love Yuki, and I'm a bit scared that if he doesn't perform this weekend and he doesn't perform next weekend, they might just get rid of him at Red Bull for once and all. Like, because Yuki was a little bit pissed at, Helmut Marko and Christian Horner that he didn't get the Red Bull seat from the beginning on. And I get that. Like, I absolutely get that. But now that he's got that chance, he needs to show that he deserves to be in that seat, and that is kind of scary. That's kind of scary, and I'm scared. I'm scared as hell. Yep. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It is what it is. Like, we cannot change anything. But there's other things that we need to discuss about this Red Bull seat. The first thing, still about Liam. Liam Lawson didn't know he was gonna lose his seat. Well, he would be demoted to the B team. He didn't know. He just found out through social media, and I think that's not okay. I'm sorry, but where did Christian Horner and like everyone at Red Bull think? Actually, it is okay to not let Liam know that he will be demoted, and he'll just find out through social media. That's like the best thing we can do. Like, where did that logic come from? I don't get it. When I saw that, I felt so bad for Liam, because he deserves an explanation, and I think he knows why he is demoted, but he still deserves an explanation. Like, he still deserves to know what the thought process of Helmut Marko and of Christian Horner and everyone at Red Bull was to demote him to the B team and to promote Yuki to the A team. So the fact that he found out through social media is, I think, not okay. Like, you could have at least like send him a text, if that's, call him, email him, I don't know, just let him know somehow that he doesn't have to find out through social media, because I think that's not okay. And then, secondly, Alex Albon. And you're like, what does Alex Albon have to do with the Red Bull seat? Well, we all remember that Alex was in the Red Bull in 2019, I think, or 2020, around that period of time. And he didn't do that great. Let's just say it like that. He wasn't performing that well, so they switched him out for, I don't know actually. Was it Pierre, or was Pierre before Alex? I wasn't watching back then, but I do know that they've both been in that seat. But Alex Albon has been with Williams for a few years, and he now has experience. Like, when he joined Red Bull, he didn't have experience. I think it was his first year or his second year, I don't know. But he didn't have enough experience to be in that team. So he went to Williams, gained a lot of experience, and he is actually quite a good driver, if you ask me. And Red Bull thought that as well. They thought that as well. So we all thought that it would either be Yuki or Liam during the summer, like during the winter break. We all thought one of those two will get that Red Bull seat. Well, we thought wrong, because apparently Red Bull really, really, really wanted Alex Albon back. They called him and they said, Alex, we want you back in our Red Bull seat. And Alex said no, because he has built a lot of good stuff with Williams. He's been there developing a lot of good things at Williams, and he just didn't want to be teammates with Max Verstappen again. Because if you gotta be honest, I wouldn't want to be teammates with Max Verstappen. Like, I'm sure he's a lovely bloke, but it's just like the track record Max has with teammates, and okay, Max is not the person with the most teammates on the grid right now. That's actually Carlos Sainz. But the thing is, for Carlos, it's in different teams. So that's the difference. For Max, it is for the most part in the same team. So yeah, the track record Max has with teammates is not that good. So I kind of get the thought process of Alex being like, staying away from that. Yeah, no, but I thought that was kind of interesting because we all thought I cannot remember a single person saying, I think Red Bull is going to go for Alex Albon for that seat. Not a single person. So I thought that was rather interesting. And apparently also, third thing, Franco Colapinto, apparently Red Bull wants him. Wanted once. I don't know. I saw this also on social media. My source is always social media, most of the times actually. So what was the idea? The idea was to put Yuki in the Red Bull seat, and then to not put Liam in the racing walls, but to just make Liam reserve driver again, I think. And then they would loan Franco Colapinto from Alpine, and Alpine is also loaning Franco Colapinto from Williams. So basically, Red Bull would be loaning Franco Colapinto from Williams to put him in the V Cup seat. Well, racing walls, because I'm not allowed to say V Cup anymore. I thought that was also very interesting. We know Franco is a good driver. He's decent because he doesn't have that much experience, and I'm kind of happy Red Bull didn't get their hands on him, because I'm a bit scared of what would happen if they did. Because I don't want the same thing to happen to Franco that happened to, for example, Nick de Vries. Because I like Nick. Nick was fun. But you can be honest, his results, not great. But did he deserve to be out of that seat? No. I don't think so. But anyway, I'm just kind of happy that Red Bull didn't get their hands on Franco. But yeah, that's my chatter on the Red Bull seat. I'm scared and curious to see what's going to happen to it. I don't know. I think we'll just wait and see what will happen this weekend and see how Yuki performs, and then we'll just talk about it again in the next episode. I'm really rooting for Yuki. I think, and I'm gonna look it up right now in my journal, because I'm always very, very optimistic, and I always support my drivers. Well, literally anyone. So this is my journal for people that are watching this. It is literally a bingo chart, but some boxes have a color around it, and so every driver has a box. So there's a box personally for every driver. For example, Behrman in Q3, points on debut for Antonelli, stuff like that, right? So for Yuki, I wrote Tsunoda first podium, and I now believe it. And I believe he can get that, because with the racing balls, that was not that likely to happen. But now that he's in Red Bull, that actually seems likely to happen. For Liam, I wrote Lawson first win. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. The only thing that I think is kind of sad about Yuki leaving Racing Bulls is the fact that we will no longer get the iconic TikToks of him and Isaac together. Because those TikToks, I don't know who is in charge of their social media, but the TikToks that they posted the last few weeks that they were teammates, I freaking comic. So yeah, I'm gonna miss those. I'm gonna definitely miss those. Anyway, enough about the Red Bull seat. Let's go to another thing that is happening this week. Japanese Grand Prix, maybe? Yeah, so I've already talked about it being Yuki's home race and him, and it also being his first Red Bull race. So let's talk about something else, right? McLaren. McLaren. I'm curious for McLaren to see their driver battle because both races we kind of saw that they were at the same level and they just wanted to fight, but they were not allowed to fight, and so I mean, I'm scared to see what's going to happen because I don't want the papaya rolls again. It's not necessary for me, right? But on the other hand, I'm just like, maybe the boys need them, like Lando Norris can need them, because I'm just scared of what will happen if they actually let them race and they both actually go for it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you know what I mean, but I'm a bit scared. I'm also excited to see the driver battle because, yeah, no, it's fun, but it's also scary. You know what I mean? Same with Yuki, basically. Anyway, another thing that I noticed during the Chinese Grand Prix, which I'm curious for in the Japanese Grand Prix, the pace of some of the midfield teams. For example, Haas. That's just the only thing that I remember because I'm a big Oli Babin fan, like I've said so many times. Um, yeah, I'm curious to see whether they can continue their pace into the Japanese Grand Prix and into the rest of the season, actually. But I think it's interesting. It's interesting. They scored great points in China. Okay, that was definitely thanks to the disqualification of Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, and Pierre Gasly. Pierre, not that much. Didn't have that much of an effect on the Haases, but Charles and Lewis. I mean, Charles and Lewis. They need, like, absolutely need a great Grand Prix this weekend because if they don't, I'm a bit scared of what will happen with Ferrari. I feel bad for all my Ferrari fans out there. Like, I am with you in your thoughts. Like, I feel so bad for y'all. It's not your year right now. Maybe it will come, but right now, not your year, and I feel so bad for y'all. I'm so happy I'm not a Ferrari fan. Like, it's not my favorite team. I mean, I support them obviously, but it's not my favorite team. Like, I'm so happy because otherwise, yeah, yeah. That's just being said. That's everything I actually had on the Japanese Grand Prix. There are two other things that I need to talk about, and the first one is still about Formula One related stuff. So, Lando Norris. It's not technically about Lando. It's more about his fans. Because if you've been on Instagram or on TikTok the last few days, week actually, you might have noticed something in his comments happening. And I need to talk about that. I'm not fully up to date with what is actually happening, but I've seen some things and I just need to talk about it. So, Lando is apparently dating a girl. And we're not that big of a fan of that girl, apparently. I don't know who she is. I've never heard from her. Well, I have heard from her, but just from the, like, gossip Instagram pages, which I do follow some, but it's just for funsies, okay? I don't... The drivers can date who they want. Like, I don't care. I don't actually care. Like, if they want to date someone that might be problematic, sure, whatever. Go for it. I don't care. Like, I don't know them personally, so I'm not the person that's gonna have an opinion on who they're dating, right? But apparently some fans feel entitled to actually have an opinion on who they're dating, and they're going so far as to comment on Instagram posts of Lando's business Quadrant about that. And that's not the only thing. They are tagging people like Max Futrell, which is Lando's best friend. Lando's dad, Lando's mom, his sisters, his brothers in the comments and saying, like, come get Lando because something's wrong with him. And I'm just like, what? Hold up. That right there you shouldn't be doing that as a fan. Lando is a grown man, right? Plus, he is also not personally connected to you. So, why do you feel entitled to comment on who he is dating? Like, I get it that you don't like your favorite driver dating someone that is maybe a little bit problematic. I get that. I think that's kind of logical. But you never are entitled to actually comment on someone dating someone. Okay? Like, I don't know if you get what I mean, but it's just, yeah. I don't get some of these fans are actually going crazy, and I'm just like, why? What is the reason that you are commenting on Lando dating someone? If he wants to date that person, let him. Let him be. He's a grown man. He's an adult. He can literally choose for himself what he does, who he's dating, what decisions he makes. It's his choice. And you as a fan have no right to comment on that. And I feel like some of the AI apps, for example, character AI. Listen, I am actually a character AI girly. I do use it. Shoot me if you want. No, actually don't. But I feel like if some fans don't grasp the fact that it is actually AI, even though it says at the top, it always says of a chat, this is AI, none of what the character says is real. Some fans don't grasp that, and I think stuff like that gives these fans the feeling that they are entitled to comment on what Lando does and who he's dating. And I mean, right now it's really happening to Lando, but I feel like it happens to literally all the drivers. And that is what I'm a bit scared for. For example, like the rookies. They're so young that I'm so scared of what these kind of comments will do to their mental health. Like, that is what I'm scared about. Like, you get what I mean? Like, it's never okay to comment. Okay, wait, this is obviously, for example, if one of your best friends is dating someone that abuses her, then it's obviously okay to tell her, like, girly, something is not right here, and you need to realize that. But if it's a celebrity that you're not personally connected with, that you're just a fan of, then you shouldn't. You can have an opinion, but keep it to yourself. Like, you shouldn't voice it online or whatever. No. That being said, let's move on. Let's move on to the last thing I have, and that is not Formula 1 related, but it is feature series related. Victor Martins, who I adore. I love Victor. Even though he took away Ollie's title in F3, I really like Victor. He was also always part of the Alpine Driver Academy, but he switched. So now he's part of the Williams Driver Academy, and I just thought that was fun to share. But that's literally that's the last thing I had for today. Obviously, next up is the Japanese Grand Prix from the 4th of April to the 6th of April, literally this weekend. I'm so excited. I really like the Japanese Grand Prix like circuit layout with like the crossing part. I love that. That's so fun. Actually, I think we're going into a triple header, but I have to check this in my agenda. I actually think we're going into a triple header. So we have Japan this weekend. Then we have Bahrain the weekend after. And then we have Saudi. So a triple header. We're going into triple header, guys. That's so fun. I am so excited. Yeah. That's everything. I'm just a little bit overwhelmed by everything I just said. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you will enjoy the Japanese Grand Prix. I hope we will all not die of stress and, just keep Yuki in your minds, like, support him. I hope you will enjoy whatever you do this weekend, whatever you do in your life. And you on Spotify, you will hear me next week. You on YouTube, you will see me again next week. Bye!